Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be looking at the potential Gulf hurricane again, but today we're not going to be looking at the ensembles as they haven't changed that much, and there wouldn't be any graphics today as there is still high uncertainty. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the newest GFS run. It's still the only model showing it at the moment. To my knowledge, but I'll go into a bit of what the ECMWF and CMC are showing in a second. So basically, once we get to around 10 days out, we do see a low pressure system forming in the Caribbean, and as that gets an act together, it affects western Cuba with high sustained winds on the coast, wind gusts, and heavy rain. And basically, that's going to strengthen a lot. And then we see it going towards the Florida Panhandle, making landfall near where Hurricane Michael hit as a 974, 979 millibar system before going up, causing heavy rain into the northeast. But we're not going to be focusing on that northeast part as that is very uncertain. And the system might not even form in the first place. So, of course, take it with a grain of salt. So, I would have made a graphic today, but Zero Z kind of ruined it because it went all the way back to the Florida Panhandle in the run. But I was going to originally cut it to like the Alabama coast of where the risk is going to be, and I was going to extend the risk to a much of the Mexican coast, more than what I showed yesterday's graphic. But of course, now that GFS has gone all the way back east to the Florida Panhandle, uncertainty remains high. So yeah, so if we look at the total rainfall, we're gonna look at here. We don't have anything much yet, but we don't have any rainfall estimates yet, but of course that's going to vary on the storm track, so any rainfall estimates right now won't be very accurate. But what we can tell already is that there is going to be very heavy rain from the system, likely causing flooding if it were to happen. But of course the main risk is sustained winds, and if we look here, we do see that tropical storm force winds up into western Cuba, and then as we go north, it goes into the Florida Panhandle. And of course, wind gust, which we're going to use 850 MB wind gust for. Western Cuba gets affected by the wind gust a lot. We see there. And then, of course, those wind gusts go well, mainly into the Florida Panhandle. Whether you're in the purple, the high yellows, oranges, reds, you are likely going to have some bad wind gusts. That's what we're mainly going to be focusing on, those higher wind gusts. It's, of course, going to depend on the overall strength of the system, but then again, the tropical storm wind gust field likely won't extend that high, but definitely wind gusts will be a threat farther out than sustained wind, so especially inland people, like always, have to watch out for that a lot, too, because where the sustained winds don't go as far inland, the wind gust can still pack a punch, which is always the case, even in very strong systems. So yeah, that's really it for 0Z. We're going to go back to 18Z, where we do see the system forming, and then it goes and then it just stalls and hits Mexico. So in that case, it's wind gusts and heavy rain are going to be more of a threat, because the Mexican mountainous terrain would absolutely destroy any winds that are any sustained winds. So we see that tropical storm force winds still go into Cuba, but they stay off the coast. But as you go into Mexico, you see we could still see in this run up to hurricane force sustained winds on the coast of Mexico, but that will be very brief. As you can see, it rips it apart of the mountainous terrain of Mexico. Now, if we look here, we do see heavy rain, which would be a main threat up to 12 inches, especially as well as in western Cuba. But then again, like I said, the rain estimates can't be very helpful this far out. And then, of course, heavy rain, as you see there. And if we go to 850 MB winds, we do see the wind gusts a little disorganized, as it's in western Cuba because the system isn't very organized yet, but still wind gust is threat. And then, of course, it affects the coast of Louisiana very little bit, and then it hits Mexico, and you see high wind gusts. Big threat there for up to inland Mexico as well, but then the system dies. Now, if we're going to go a little farther out to around 0Z Wednesday, where we saw the system hitting the Yucatan, which is really a different... Oh, and by the way, now I'm just going through over older runs to see all the potential outcomes for this, but I'm not going to be looking at all the parameters in the older runs. I'm just going to be looking at this precipitation rate, because older runs, of course, aren't as valid anymore, but it can show us where it could go. So basically, 0Z June 7th showed it hitting the Yucatan, then going into the Gulf. And basically what we see here is heavy rain is going to be a threat no matter where this system hits. Wind gusts and wind will vary much on the strengths and stuff. But of course, a lot of times what you see is the GFS will show a strong system, and then it will weaken it gradually to a tropical storm, or it not even forming. But either way, we could have a nasty low pressure with gusty winds near the center, and really any high wind gust I'm going to refer to as gusty winds. Even if it's hurricane force, it's still gusty winds. But either way, nasty conditions for the Yucatan there, and that could cause some landslides. And I'm going into the terminology a lot, so you guys know what I'm talking about, by the way. But anyway, so we do see a southern Texas landfall here. Of course, heavy rain, high wind gusts. And then I'm sure around Monday was when we really started to see this system be consistent. It's hitting the Yucatan there too. And then I think the first run was around June 3rd. Yeah, it started to show its act together. So but that is really what we're going to be seeing here. Now, if we go to 0Z, if we go to CMC, they're not showing anything. And if we go to ECMWF, go to 12Z, they are not showing anything either. So, of course, that lacks a lot of credibility for the GFS there. Now, if we go to Analysis Tools, Ocean Analysis, we do see we are actually in an El Nino now, by the way. NOAA declared it earlier today, and we're almost at the 1+1 mark. And if we go to the Western Atlantic, we do see the Gulf Loop. They're very strong, so that's really going to help any systems that go through the area. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Any questions, please leave it in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.